We're here with Mia Ballendan from Body Fusion to talk us through some nutritional facts today. The first topic we're going to talk about for our first video blog is performance. Now, Mia, what nutritional factors affect a dancer's performance?
Okay, so are we talking about a performance on stage, an audition, or just a class?
Let's do both.
All right. Okay, so there's quite a few factors that are going to affect a dancer's performance. First being your glycogen stores. Now, your glycogen stores is this big technical term, glycogen, and what it basically is it's basically the amount of readily stored energy in your muscles and in your liver. So when you do any kind of quick movement, your muscles take your glycogen to do that movement. So they pull from your glycogen to enable your muscles to do that movement.
Okay.
If you don't have any glycogen stores, then your muscle's not going to be able to do the movement as quickly or as well. The other thing that's going to affect your performance is the amount of your blood glucose levels. So your blood sugar levels is the not so.
Is that why people say eat jelly beans?
Yeah. So, and that's why people sometimes take those glucose tablets as well.
Yep.
Because they're going to boost your sugar levels in your blood. It's not always the best thing to do, depending on the circumstances. Yeah.
Okay.
The third thing is your hydration levels. So hydration is really important as dancers. We often have that bottle of water next to us in class, but it's extremely important, and we're going to talk about that, I think, later on. But particularly, it's if you're not hydrated, it can make you feel like the exercise is actually harder than what it is.
Okay.
And lastly is cramps, which is pretty self-explanatory. So if you've had something that's going to cause wind the night before a performance and you go up on stage and you start to get abdominal pain or cramping, if you've had fizzy drink or something like that, it's obviously going to affect your performance.
So you'd say no to fizzy drink?
I would say no to fizzy drink.
So can I ask you, what about the energy drinks that are out there? There's a lot of energy drinks out there now, from the energy waters to Powerades. How do they affect your performance or enhance your performance?
Yep. So you'll notice majority aren't fizzy. For that reason, that they're not going to cause any wind. Some people get more wind from fizzy drinks than other people. It's really personal. Some people don't have any problem with it.
Okay.
Others are going to get a little bit of cramping or abdominal pain, which is the last thing you want when you're about to go on stage.
Definitely.
In terms of the best or what's a really good energy drink, the energy drinks are quite high in sugar or carbohydrate, to give you a boost of energy in a sense. So if you're concerned about watching your caloric intake, so your calories or your kilojoules, there are options like Powerade sugar-free they've just brought out.
Yep.
And there's another product called Hydrolyte, which is an energy drink that's going to balance out your electrolyte losses if you're sweating a lot and rehydrate you quite well. And it's not going to have the extra calories that the Powerade and Gatorade have. So they're great if you're not watching your calories, but if you're any concerned about weight at all, then it's best to go with
for the alternatives without all the sugar.
Exactly.
Okay, and why would glycogen stores affect performance?
So your glycogen stores are really important in the way that if you're on a low carbohydrate diet, or like the Atkins diet, or you haven't eaten for a while, your body's going to use up those glycogen stores and they're going to become depleted. And it's going to take a little bit of time for your body to replenish those stores. And when your glycogen stores are low, your body's going to feel quite fatigued, and you're not going to be able to point your toes as hard as you could if you had the glycogen stores there. You're not going to be able to lift your leg as high as you could if you've kept those glycogen stores at a constant level by eating a little bit of carbohydrates or balancing out your diet throughout the day with 6 small meals rather than starving yourself and then
which a lot of people do.
Skipping breakfast.
That's right.
Yeah.
Skip breakfast, have lunch, and then that's all they'll eat if they've got a performance at night.
Yeah, so that's exactly right. You're going to deplete your glycogen stores. You may feel like you can perform at your best, but you're probably little bit under what you could actually push yourself to.
Okay, so what are complex carbohydrates, and are there any particular type of carbohydrate?
Yep, so I guess in terms of glycogen stores, the main thing that you want to be doing is eating complex carbohydrates, because they're the ones that are going to actually be stored as glycogen the best. If you're having your simple carbohydrates, which are your things like your jelly beans and your white sugar and anything that tastes quite sweet,
Okay.
what they're going to do is they're going to boost up your blood sugar levels. So they're going to give you that initial spurt of energy, but then they're going to cause your blood sugar levels to drop. And sometimes they actually drop lower than what you were to start with. And you sometimes get this feeling of sudden tiredness.
Yeah.
So if you have your jelly beans, you're up, and then you suddenly get this drop.
Okay.
So if you're doing like a short performance, it might be great to boost them up, but then you're going to feel tired afterwards. So if you're doing any kind of audition for a day or something, it's certainly not something that you want to be doing.
Not good food to be eating if you need the energy for a long amount of time.
Exactly. So that's where complex carbohydrates come in, and they're things like your whole wheat bread, your whole grain breads, your lentils, your pasta is a good one. They're carbohydrates that are also called low GI, so low glycemic index, which is quite a fashionable term at the moment.
Definitely.
Yeah, and what that does is, so if we're looking at our blood glucose again, the complex carbohydrates are going to go like this rather than like this.
Okay.
So they'll come down, but they're probably not going to come down past the line.
Yeah.
And they're going to just keep your blood sugar levels higher for longer. So you're going to have that energy for longer. It's not going to go as high, but you're going to have the energy for longer, and then it's just going to trickle down rather than plunging and dropping below the line.
Yeah,
Does that make
sure.
sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. So, how much carbohydrate is a good amount to be eating?
Okay, so as everyone knows, everyone's completely different. And men are going to be different to women, and depending on the amount of exercise that you're doing, and if you want to gain weight, if you want to lose weight, if you want to maintain weight, it's all going to change the amount of carbohydrates and the amount of calories. But in a general term, you're looking at about 5 to 7 grams of carbohydrate per gram of your particular body weight per day. So say you weigh 70 kilos, you times that by 5, and you work out the amount of grams of carbohydrates you need in a day, and then you do it times 7, and you get sort of a range there that you can work towards eating in a day. And what that's going to do, by having a range of carbohydrates of about that much, it's going to prevent your blood sugars from dropping too low. It's going to replenish your glycogen stores, that fancy term, so basically your muscle energy stores, so you're going to be able to perform throughout the day. So if you've got a day of auditions or a day of classes, full-time study, or in a company, you need that energy throughout the day and into the night, into a performance, then you're good to be having about that much carbohydrates, complex carbohydrates, and balancing it out through the day.
Sure, but then I guess you alter that if you're, in an off season, or you're on holidays from full time, you wouldn't be having as much to sustain that energy.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, what is hypoglycemia?
Okay, so as I said, if you're having less than that, you're probably going to get some low blood sugar levels, which is, in the fancy term, hypoglycemia.
Yeah.
You've probably heard diabetics often get a hypo, well, not often, hopefully, but their blood sugars drop. And as even if you're not diabetic, if you aren't having enough carbohydrates in your diet, your blood sugar can dip. And as I said, sometimes if you have the simple, it can also dip quite low. And that's when you're going to feel fatigued. You might get a headache. You might get a migraine. It just depends on,